Welcome to our channel, and welcome to a new screw threads course. In this first modeling video, we are going to model up the bolt itself, and then in the following video, we are going to add the thread as we briefly mentioned in the last video. Hopefully you already have a little bit of Solidworks knowledge, but if you don't, maybe just slow video down to a slower speed, and then just try and follow along with what's happening on the screen. So let's get started. Within Solidworks, we want to start a new part. So click on New, which is the icon up here, and then make sure you have part selected, and press OK. Now we have an empty part, and the first thing we want to do is draw the head of the bolt. To do this, we'll start a sketch on the top plane. And we can do this by going over to the top plane in the feature tree on the left hand side here. Left clicking on it, and then just pressing sketch from the buttons which pop up. And we can also go up to the sketch tab, which is on the command manager up here, and just press sketch. So now we're actually in the sketch itself. So we're gonna draw the bolt head shape. Select the polygon tool from the sketch tab at the command manager. Then make sure the number of sides is set to 6. And then we're gonna start a polygon from the origin, which represents the center of our model, and is shown by these two red arrows. Place our mouse over the origin, and we should see the small yellow coincident icon pop up. When it does, left click to start the polygon, then move our mouse outwards, and this should drag out a polygon, and then left click again to set the size. Next, we'll add a dimension to set the size of this. So go to command manager again, make sure we're on the sketch tab, and press on the smart dimension tool. Then click on any two of the outer polygon lines, which are opposite each other, and the dimension should appear. We can drag this up and left click it again to place it, and then a box should pop up, and we can use this to actually set the dimension. So let's write in 20 for 20 millimeters, and press enter or press the green tick to set this as the dimension. Now in my model we are working in millimeters. You may actually be working in inches, or in another unit type. And you can tell this by looking down here on the right. Mine says mmgs, which stands for millimeters. The units doesn't really matter at this stage, we are just kind of showing the process. But if you do want to change to inches or from inches to millimeters, you can just click on it down here. Yours might say IPS for inches, and then you can change it to whichever unit type you like. So going back to the polygon shape that we just drew, you can see that it's blue, and down here at the bottom it says underdefined. And that's because our sketch isn't yet fully defined. So if we drag it and try and move it around, we can see it can still rotate because the orientation hasn't been set. So to fix this, click on any of the straight lines, and then from the box it pops up. Just press vertical, and this will make that line vertical. So it will fix the orientation of the polygon, so our sketch should turn black, which indicates it's fully defined. And down here at the bottom, it should also say fully defined. It's very important to always try to make sure our sketches are fully defined. So when our sketch is fully defined, we can exit the sketch by clicking on the exit sketch button up here in the right hand corner. Now we can use this sketch to extrude the bolt head shape itself. So select the sketch in the feature tree on the left hand side. And then go to the features tab on the command manager, and just press the first button, extruded boss base. We should get a yellow preview pop up, and we want to extrude this base upwards 5 millimeters. We can set this distance by making sure we are in this box on the left. We should automatically be in it, and then just changing the size to 5 millimeters. Then if we press OK by clicking on the green tick in the top left, our first feature should be created, and this represents the head of a bolt. We should be able to drag this around by holding down our middle mouse button, the scroll button, and then just moving our mouse around. Now that we have the first feature, we can actually rename it in the feature tree. So go over to where the first feature is, and just do a slow double click on the name, and that should allow you to rename it. And we can just call this something like bolt head, and then press enter, or just click off the name. The next feature we want to add is the bolt shaft itself, and this will be the long circular section that the thread will actually wrap around. To make this, we need to start a new sketch on this top face. So click on the upper face, then from the button that pop up, press sketch. Make sure that we press the lower button, which is start the new sketch, instead of the top button, which is edit the existing bolt head sketch. And as we mentioned before, we can either press it on the pop-up buttons or we can choose it on the sketch tab itself on the command manager. Now that we've started a sketch on this face, we actually want the normal to view, which is a flat view of the face that we are sketching on. And to get to this, if we press the spacebar, we should get the view orientation menu pop up. We can move this anywhere in our graphics area, and if we click on the little pin symbol in the top right corner, that will keep this menu open and on top everything else. So this shows all the different views within our model, and we want to select a normal to view, which is this icon down in the right hand corner. If we click this, we should be able to see that our model moves. So now we are looking directly flat on to the sketch. And now we want to draw a circle for the bolt shaft itself. To do this, select the circle tool, which is in the sketch tab on the command manager. Then go back to the origin of the model, hover over it with the mouse, so we pick up this yellow coincidence symbol, and then left click once to start the circle. Then move our mouse outwards and left click again to set the diameter of the circle. Then we can set the actual dimension of this circle by selecting the Smart Dimension tool, clicking on the circle, moving the dimension away, left clicking to place it, and then just type in the dimension in the box, which is 10 millimeters. Then press OK. And our circle should be fully defined, so it should be black and it should say fully defined at the bottom. Then we can exit the sketch, and we can extrude the circle upward using the same feature that we use for the head, which is the Extruded Bolt base. To do this, make sure we have our second sketch selected in the feature tree. Then go to the feature tab on the command manager and press the first button, which is Extruded Bolt base. And this time we want to extrude 50 millimeters, so type in 50 and then press OK. And when we've created that feature, we can press the F key on our keyboard, and this will zoom out so our entire model fills the graphics area. So here we have the basic model for our bolt, which we'll add the thread to in the next video. And all we need to do now is rename that second feature. So again, go over to feature 3 and do a slow double click on it, and then just call this something like bolt shaft. Then we can save our part by pressing Ctrl S, or pressing the save icon at the top, and call it whatever we like. Maybe something like bolt, and I just added my initials. Or I just added some initials to give it a bit more of a unique file name. So to very quickly recap this model, we can hover over this bar at the bottom of all of our features, hold down left mouse button and drag it upwards, and this allows us to go back to the start of the model. So here we have our empty model. Then we drew the bolt head by just starting a sketch on the top plane and drawing a 6-sided polygon. We added dimensions and fully defined it, and then extruded it 5 millimeters upwards. Next, we started a new sketch on one of the upper faces of the bolt head, and we just drew a circle using the circle tool, and we extruded this upwards 50 millimeters. And we renamed both these features, and then we have our basic bolt model. And then in the next video, we'll be adding the thread to this. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you like. I hope it can be a little helpful and useful.